Welcome to the October edition of the SEO Juice. I love all of the different backgrounds that Mike comes up with. There's actually, what you guys don't know, we'll have to maybe make like a collage of all of them and share it out, but like there's like options that Mike presents to us. Sorry, can you guys still see me? Oh
Yes.
God. Okay,
Yes.
my computer's doing. If I magically disappear, take over. It's something technical over here. Um, anyways, there's all kinds of different options that Mike presents to us like every month. So these are really fun. I think he has more fun doing this than like anything else. Uh,
It
yeah,
gives me a little creative outlet for the month. So.
exactly. All right, again, we're going to kick it off with truths and a myth. This time it is a social truth and a myth. So first one, AI tools are shaping how brands create, schedule, and analyze content. 2, the more hashtags you use, the better your reach. 3, engagement is greater than follower count since algorithms prioritize meaningful interactions. And then the last one, social search on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn is rivaling Google for discovery. So I seriously need to figure out the music situation. Maybe that can be my like 2026 goal, uh, is to get it. Because I'd like to say my next month goal, but I think I say that every time.
It has been said a lot, so
That a lot.
it's becoming your catchphrase. Yeah,
Well, I also just don't do well with like silence. Like I have to fill the space. I am constantly listening to music or music in my head.
totally understand that way too well.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to, well, actually, I guess, yeah, before we get to the results, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Casey McBride. I am SOCi Senior Director of Strategic Consulting. With that, I have the privilege of managing a team of SEO, social media, and data analysts to essentially help solve customer problems. It's the best job in the world. Love it. And I have the pleasure to work with Kelly and Mike every single day. So I'll turn it over to them to introduce themselves.
Oh, I don't know how you could do it much better, but yes, for those who haven't been on here before, I'm Mike Snow. I'm the local SEO enablement manager here at SOCi, and as I like to joke, the SEO evangelist because SEO never ends. Always enjoy these calls every month, so thank you for joining.
Hey everyone, my name's Kelly Satino. I've been on these calls for probably 3 or 4 months now. It started off as search, but we decided to bring social in. So Mike and I are counterparts. I focus more on the social side where he focuses more on the search side. So yeah, really excited to be here.
That should actually, if I take a pause, you said something, Kelly, I feel like we don't reiterate enough at the beginning of these calls, is it is the SEO juice, but when Kelly came on, we really did rebrand this as search everywhere optimization. Search engine really has always kind of connotated Google, which really search engine isn't just Google, but really it is search everywhere. And that's why we're so happy to have Kelly as part of this overall conversation.
And that's kind of a clue for what the poll was. So we'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah. And for those who do want to watch previous episodes of this, if you're just joining us for the first time, if you are a customer of SOCi's, every month we post these in SOCi University. If you're not a customer or you're a franchisee listening or someone else who doesn't have access to SOCi, you can watch this through this other link as well via our website. There we go.
Okay. I don't know if we can see the answers pop up here. Oh, there we go.
Oh, and I gave
Yes.
them away already.
Yeah. No, not really. You just confirmed one of the facts, but most people
Yeah.
already knew that. So
Yes.
yeah, so the truths are that AI tools are shaping how brands create, schedule, and analyze content. The myth is that the more hashtags you use, the better your reach. So if you want to go ahead to the next slide, Mike.
Okay. Yeah.
So, oh no, sorry, the one before that.
Okay.
Just the hashtag. Yep, there you go. So it's been talked about a lot this year how hashtags don't hold the same power on social that they once did. So it is not true that the more hashtags you use, the more reach your post will get. So in some cases, it can actually come off as spammy. So we'd actually recommend against a lot of hashtags. They don't really help your post performance at all. But if you still want to include one or two, it won't hurt you. And it looks like mostly everyone got that correct. So I'm happy to hear that.
They've been listening to you.
Yeah.
There must have been people from
And
last time because I think that's what you discussed, right?
Yeah, I definitely did talk about this recently, so I'm glad to hear that that's stuck with you guys. And if you want to go ahead to the next slide, I did want to spend some time on the fourth truth that social search is rivaling Google for discoverability. So something that Mike and I just talked about a moment ago. There are many studies published this year that show how certain social media networks are growing as a search tool. And while Google is still number one, you can see in our own SOCi study here that for some age groups, like the 18 to 24, social and search are about tied. They're just a percentage point off from one another. So the takeaway here is to make sure you're on as many social networks as you can be, have an optimized profile, and just make sure you're using smart keywords in your captions and text overlay. We do expect social search to continue to increase in popularity over time. And I know we often urge social and search teams to come together, but I think this is a really great reason to. So if you're on this call and you do focus on search, it's probably worth connecting with your social counterparts just to make sure you're all on the same page.
Oh, all right.
So as far as what we'll cover today, we'll hit you with the latest and greatest in industry news. We also have a recap of 10 ways to show up in AI search. We actually recently had a full-blown presentation on this by Damian Rawlinson on the team SOCi. And we wanted to kind of take from that presentation and help reiterate some of the things that he focused on if anybody wasn't able to make his presentation. We'll also get into a little bit of holiday planning and some things to keep in mind across both search and social. There's an update from Google regarding business links and some things that Mike wanted to hit on. Then we close it out with our checkbox optimizations, check in on any new categories, attributes, and features, and then things that we might have spied in the wild. So with that, industry news. This first one here, we've definitely talked about before, but we do want to make everybody aware and triple aware that this data that is missing is not getting backfilled. So to recap, Google did make everyone aware that there was missing search impression data starting around June 24th through July 16th. For a long time, Google was telling us that they were aware of the bug, they fixed the bug, and they were planning to backfill that data. We received word they will not be backfilling that data. So something very important to keep in mind as you're looking to measure your performance of both June and July, especially if you're looking at year-over-year comparisons, June and July will likely be negative to the prior year because there's some data missing for search impressions. So unfortunately, in situations like that, maybe the best thing you can do is make certain educated guesstimates and model out what your daily data may have looked like, depending on what kind of progression you were on from a comp perspective, and just try to make some educated assumptions. Otherwise, just be aware, and don't be too hard on yourself if you see a negative dip as you're recapping this past summer.
Instagram updates. So I say this every time. I swear this guy is not paying me to say it, but if you do not follow Adam Mosseri on Instagram, I would highly recommend you do it. He is the head of Instagram. He does weekly Q&As and he gives a lot of really interesting information. I always screenshot it and make sure to send it to myself for later. So a couple pieces of information here that I thought was interesting. This was from, I think, Friday he posted this. So he said on average, videos perform better than stills as they are more engaging. So that's obviously going to be different for every brand, every piece of content, but I do think it's enough to, at least as a takeaway, focus on videos and reels a little bit more, knowing that generally people do engage with it more than they do a still. Another interesting piece of information is that on the Instagram side, follower count is not going away and followers are still important to Instagram. And why that is often kind of debated is because on the Facebook side, people often see that they're only reaching a small percent of their followers with their post. So it was kind of got up to debate on what it's going to look like on the Instagram side, but he did confirm here that followers are important on Instagram. So the takeaway here would be to check in on your follower accounts and use that as a KPI if you are not already.
All right, next up, ChatGPT just announced that they've added apps to the experience within conversations. So what this means is if you are in ChatGPT and you want to, the example here, if you want, say, hey, Expedia, what are, I'm looking for hotels in Chicago with a king bed for under $250 a night. ChatGPT will now go and look through Expedia data through that app and present options. What this means is users can now ask things like find sushi restaurants near me or book a hotel and get results through these integrated apps. So far, they've announced that Zillow, Expedia, Booking.com are all active within ChatGPT, at least from a local perspective. I tried to find the specific local ones. And other local type service provider apps like DoorDash, Instacart, TripAdvisor, and OpenTable are on the way. So it means, again, if customers use these different apps to order services from you, to book rooms from you, again, you're going to want to make sure data there is accurate as well, that you're publishing the right data to the right industry sites in order to be found that way through ChatGPT, through these different types of apps. So more to come as this evolves. It was just announced just a couple days ago, so more to come.
Some more Instagram updates. So Instagram has been testing this for a while, but a larger rollout is now taking place. So the best way to describe this is that if you look on the right side of the screen, that is mirroring what Instagram looks like when you go to someone's profile. So there's a grid icon, there's tagged photos, there's reels, there's repost. That little heart there is going to be new, and that's going to be your highlights. So when you post an Instagram story, you have the ability to save it to your page as a highlight. So people often do this. If it's a apartment complex, they might say, a certain like floor plan, they'll have a highlight for. Or if it's a restaurant, they might have a highlight for seasonal specials or something like that. So those were previously at the top of your profile. They're moving it into this folder down here. I think it will naturally get a little less visibility, but they must want it just a little more below the fold than it is now. So just a heads up as it gets rolled out, so you're not confused, wondering where my highlights went. They still will be there. They'll just be a little bit more hidden.
Moving on, Google Search Labs is now testing agentic capabilities in AI mode. When I read this headline at first, or a similar headline, I assumed this meant Google was doing something similar to the Ask For Me feature, where agentic capabilities would actually be reaching out to set reservations or order items or whatever that might be. But as a closer look, and I actually opted in on the test myself, it's really just providing options of things like through OpenTable, through Instacart. It's really creating another step so you don't have to go back out to to OpenTable to set a reservation or anything like that. So right now it's just helping customers. It's really not going to change anything for businesses. But I just wanted you to know, in case you're hearing about these agentic capabilities and thinking you may be getting some different type of engagement. Right now, nothing is really changing other than Google is helping make reservations through third-party apps on behalf of the searcher. More to come if anything else happens. And I think this is the last one.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard, there is a deal that's going to keep TikTok in the US. So just to back up, there has been rumors, talks, pushbacks of TikTok going away. It actually went dark a few months ago, maybe January, for like a day or two, and everybody erupted, but it very quickly came back. So there's been some rumors that was going to happen again, but it does seem like it's all going to be worked out. So TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is going to retain a 20% stake in this new joint venture, and there's going to be a few different US operations part of it. So Oracle, Silver Lake, MGX, and a few others are going to be stakeholders. So by the end of the year, December 16th, it says it should be mostly under US operations, and it will keep the deal in the US. So the takeaway here is that if you were kind of holding off on a TikTok strategy, waiting until we knew what was going to be happening here, I would definitely move forward with the strategy, move forward on TikTok. It's not going anywhere. It's just honestly getting bigger. So I would at least create a handle and secure a username, and then you can go from there. But I definitely would consider using them as a platform now.
Thank you, Kelly. Moving on to our first feature, which is 10 ways to show up in AI search. As Casey mentioned at the beginning, this is from a larger webinar, our Marketing Unboxed webinars, which is a monthly webinar that's available to customers specifically. And in this past month, Damian Rollison, our Director of Marketing Insights, he's amazing. If you've been watching us for a while, he was on in May with us. He went and put together a presentation on 10 ways to show up in AI search. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but I want to highlight some of the things he's discussed. A lot of them mirror things we're talking about, which makes me feel good because I feel Damian is way smarter than me. He's been around doing this a very long time. And what he put together and what we've been talking about, we've been doing it a bit separate. So it's really nice to see when what we're both talking about is aligning so well. And it actually even highlights some of the things that we spotted all the way back in April when we really started talking about this a lot. So the first recommendation we have is to prioritize LLM optimization on Google, ChatGPT, and Perplexity. Do begin to devote about 20-30% of your local marketing efforts to LLM optimization. Don't neglect traditional local search reputation management and social media management strategies. They still count for most local activity, and they feed directly into LLM results. One of the good things about that 20 to 30%, as we've been talking about, those LLM optimization efforts mirror mostly what we're doing on Google. So the things we've been talking about, we say 20 to 30%. It's not like you're doing this separate from your normal SEO efforts. They align. But one of the reasons that Damien here highlighted ChatGPT and Perplexity beyond Google and not other things like Grok and some other things is data that he presented around the market share by traffic of all of the LLMs out there right now. Stuff like DeepSeek is still has a lot of traffic, but it's mostly from China. So we kind of discounted that piece. But things like Claude and Grok are still very small right now. ChatGPT obviously holds a big piece of the market. Recommendation number 2. Optimize local profiles that provide core data to LLMs. So do focus most of your attention on Google, Yelp, and Bing for AI optimizations. These sites provide the most answers. We've talked about this previously. Do ensure your profiles on these platforms are accurate, up-to-date, and consistent. And within this webinar, Damien provided this amazing graphic, really simplifies the process of where data is coming from. We know that Google feeds a lot of things, obviously all things AI mode, AI overviews through Gemini. We know that there's a partnership that Bing has with ChatGPT, where they get places data from Bing. Yelp feeds has a known partnership with Perplexity to get data. And as we talked last time, Google both ChatGPT and Perplexity scrape data from Google as well. So these are the 3 to focus in on. Recommendation number 3, track additional LLM sources used to answer local questions in your industry. Do check the sources that power. Do ensure that these local profiles are accurate and complete. Do encourage reviews on niche platforms where possible. We did talk about this back in April when we did our early tips that we were looking into. And in a couple of those instances, we looked at, this one was a cleaners near me. We could see that they cited local pages in Groupon. Another one we did, which was for restaurants. There were things like Pinterest, business website, local review, TripAdvisor. So do this, you'll notice that within each type of search you get, if you click those little sources buttons at the bottom of the search results, you'll be able to see all of this and see where those come from. And you'll find in a lot of instances, especially in like YMYL type searches where you have money managers, you might have insurance brokers, you see a lot of Better Business Bureau links. So know where it is know where it is that these LLMs are sourcing information for your industry. Recommendation 4, build local landing pages that are consistent with your online profiles. We've talked about this a whole lot. You want to make sure your local landing pages tie you to your corporate website, that you have all the contact information that's validated through other sources on Google and other places, and make sure that that doesn't conflict with your Google, Yelp, Apple, Bing, etc. Pay attention for service area businesses where you might not publish certain hours or addresses, or maybe you're using different tracking numbers, know that that can cause issues in the world of LLMs. Recommendation 5, use structured markup on local landing pages. We talked about this a lot. Even back as far as April, we noticed that in ChatGPT searches, the listings that were showing up, or the businesses that were showing up with links to their website directly, all had business schema, at least in that instance, in these instances. So schema, there's been, I think, a little debate in the industry. I'm sure you've seen it, Casey. Some have debated yes, some have debated no. I think there was a really great webinar that Near Media did that you have to be paid to see it, but they had some highlights where they're even amongst the very smart SEO brains in that call, there was some dissension on both sides.
Here's my thing with schema markup. Like, it doesn't take that much effort to deploy. It's not going to hurt your pages, and maybe it'll help. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, it might be working. It might be really helpful. And in some cases, it definitely is. So like the argument against it saying like, oh, well, it does nothing. Like, maybe it will. You don't know. Like I just don't understand. It's not like adding it is having any kind of negative effect in any way, shape, or form, or a heavy lift in most cases whatsoever. So it's just kind of like, why not? If it
That's
might help, you know?
Yeah, that's always been my thought, because I've always felt like whether or not it is a ranking factor, it can be a negative ranking factor if a crawler hits your page and doesn't understand what your page is, and there's no schema to help it.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so um, so number 6, ensure local landing pages have a why choose us content. I won't go too much into this. We discussed it in a great article, an industry update pointing to an article by Phil Rosick, who goes into a lot of information here, but it's something that we've been talking about for a while, right? Like, set up the who, where, what of your business, make sure you show that, you know, what you should expect from the industry, how you meet those standards, and how you exceed those standards. That's a really simple way to put it. Why you, right? Number 7, monitor your reputation, encourage customers to leave reviews. We talked a little bit a session or two ago about Google's algorithm and about relevancy and about prominence or popularity. Prominence is what ranks. You know, relevance gets you on the list, prominence ranks you, and reputation is everything around this. We'll be talking about this a lot more. I'm doing a session at Reimagine about reputation and what it means for your business. It means just the same across LLM, social, and everything else. Always have to have a phone ring, the old landline, while I'm doing this. Number 8, engage with local audiences on social media. Kelly talks about this all the time. I don't think I need to read all these bullet points, but it makes sense, right? People following you, people liking you, people sharing content, those are just like reviews. Those are recommendations. Why wouldn't they be an important factor in ranking you and having you show up within LLMs? These I like. This is this offline SEO, this idea of building local authority, press, PR, community involvement. We are talking about local search. LLMs, just like Google, are trying to provide the best answer. And if you are popular within the local community, you are absolutely more likely to appear in all search.
Honestly, I think this is a really big one. And it's not necessarily like a new concept. Like I think in general, more mentions, more press, more PR, more community, like that's always been something that's been impactful to just like search and SEO and buzz. But I think it's a lot more tangible when we're talking about the concept of like AI search, because we're seeing it used as like resources way more in AI and like link citations and things like that in AI results. And so this has always been something that's been important, but I think now, you know, SEO teams or search teams are kind of broadened to really dig into what their PR teams, if you have one in your company, are doing. What are the broader things that your community marketing or your marketing organization is doing as a whole for your brand? Because that's going to significantly impact your visibility in this channel.
Love that. So lastly, connect your brand voice to your digital presence. So do extend your overall brand strategy to your local marketing efforts. Remember that every local digital interaction is a marketing opportunity, and don't leave your local customers hanging. You know, engage not just nationally, engage locally, make sure you're responding, make sure you're engaging. highly recommend taking a closer look at this webinar. I think Danielle dropped this in the channel for us. He goes into a lot more detail on all this. This is all very high level, but yeah, highly recommend checking that out. So. Moving on to a quick poll.
All right. It is October 8th. Who wants to talk about the holiday season? So we're going to kick it off with a quick poll. Have you begun your holiday strategy planning? Yep, we're ready to launch. We're halfway there. Ideas are flowing. Wait, it's the holiday season already. I had my 3-year-old tell me the other day because my sister mentioned to him, oh, maybe Santa will bring this to you. And my 3-year-old looked at my sister and said, tomorrow is Christmas, because he just wanted the gift right away. And I was like, homie, it's not even Halloween yet. And he looked outside because it was dark outside and there's like decorations and spider. He's like, yes, it is. So all of these holidays are blending together for my 3-year-old. Let's see where you're all at. All right, so pretty solid split here across all of the different options, with most of you actually saying that you can't believe it's the holiday season already.
I'm on that one.
It's funny because Kelly and I come from a retail background. We both worked for Dick's Sporting Goods in a past life. And it felt like, I mean, more than half of our year was spent planning or, planning for the holiday season, and then evaluating and measuring the success of the holiday campaigns and strategies. And then before you know it, you're gearing up midsummer for it all over again. So depending what industry you're in, I'm certain that a lot of you have already had a lot of involvement in what's going on here. So with that, let's get into some tips and tricks. So it seems like the holidays are kicking off earlier and earlier each year. Incredibly important in our world and everything that you guys all do on a daily basis. In fact, SEO and social teams, like I said, traditionally spending late summer starting their holiday campaigns and strategies, preparing the customer base earlier and earlier for the holiday season, and what it means for your specific industry. So are you prepared? Jumping into it, we started thinking about some different considerations for a lot of the different verticals that we support here at SOCi. Now, the top one is obviously retail. And I don't know that I have to get into a lot of detail about that. I think it is obviously the #1 shopping time of year. You got all kinds of promotions and campaigns and product launches and advertisements and things that you're trying to highlight during the season. It is your Olympics. It is your time to shine. But some other things to think about in the different industries. So for our restaurant customers out there, higher travel usually does equal higher foot traffic. As people are visiting from out of town, a lot of times they don't necessarily want to cook at home. They're making reservations, or they're going out to dinner, or even just travel in general. People usually grab food on the go. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. I'm sure a lot of our restaurant customers see uptick. Also, holiday reservations, depending on the type of restaurant that you are, is something that you might want to promote, amplify, and keep in mind. Now, in property, a lot of times we see property management groups do certain like holiday events or get-togethers, thing to really like build up community in their specific, apartment complexes. I know I lived in a pretty cool, like modern apartment complex, like right out of college. I was like really excited about it. And it felt like they had different things they were promoting every other week. And during the holiday time frame, it was like huge, the amount of like mixers and get-togethers and activities and things that they would have. So definitely something to keep in mind and amplify. In the service area businesses, some of the big ones that really stood out are upticks in home cleaning. If somebody is hosting the holiday season, which I will be this year, I will be looking for somebody to clean my house because I'm terrible at it. Also something to keep in mind is like HVAC. So with the seasons changing, people got to check those furnaces. There's probably an uptick there as well. And then pet grooming, because nobody likes a smelly dog getting all over grandma on Christmas Eve. So in the auto industry, we kind of went in two directions when we were having a discussion here. There's obviously this uptick in purchases for like winter tires. I am terrible at buying the correct kind of tires for my car. So my stepdad yells at me frequently to get some winter tires on my car. I live in Pittsburgh. It is very necessary. But outside of that, we kind of saw the auto industry as maybe having a slowdown during this time as well, with certain budgets shifting to kind of spending on the holidays. They may not be spending on some of those more maintenance things or putting them off to the new year. In the world of fitness, tell you what, I am not focused on working out over the next couple months. But at the start of the new year, along with most of society, is that concept of New Year, New You. We know that January is a major time frame for fitness customers, gyms and things like that. So definitely be gearing up for what is your messaging going to be around January. And then last, FinServe, probably some opportunity to have conversation in your marketing approaches around holiday budgeting, spending, things like that. But for those of you that have like agent networks that really want to like build that community, and we see it a lot, even with like insurance agents and things like that, really trying to just get that sense of community. The holiday timeframe is a great time to really be trying to do that and get certain messages out there, just bringing people together and getting a certain following for, the role that you play as an agent in your local community. Oh, that was a mouthful. So I have two really big things that I wanted to hit on for search strategies, and then I get into a couple quick hits after that. But the first one, I cannot stress enough. I have been stressing this every single year since 2017, and it feels like no one listens. But Google Posts are your secret weapon for the holiday events, campaigns, product features, you name it. Google features posts more and more in search results. In fact, they've really more than hinted to us here at SOCi that Google Posts are incredibly important, wink, wink. They are frequently changing the layout and structure of search engine results pages. We're seeing them more and more. We're seeing them pop up in like featured, even like photo content, events, and things like that near me. It's going to get favored in more on. So the holiday timeframe is a great time to have events. If you are doing like a cookies with Santa, now's the time to put it in your Google post. So try developing a weekly strategy starting now. In October, you probably want to pulse some of your product and services, ramp up your posting strategy, get that content out there, lead into more of those promotions in November, really hitting hard on any holiday events or things that are deals that are happening through the month of December. I need to slow down. Okay, local pages. This has been a really big topic as well, is that alignment. So I say alignment in that it's really important that the information on your local pages is in tune and in line with what you're saying on your business listings, because it can really help your visibility in search. But even more so than that, your local pages are kind of your opportunity to get everything out there that you really want to appear for at a local level. And so not only does Google highly reference your linked local landing pages, but LLMs are crawling them as well. The more content you can build and optimize around on your pages, the more likely your business listings, so not even just your local pages, your business listings are to appear for those associated search topics, and the more likely you are to appear in LLMs. So some things to try. If Mike clicks a button, there we go. Try adding some holiday deals optimizations to your title tags or your different meta elements, whether you are optimizing around holiday deals, Black Friday deals, Cyber Monday deals, things like that tend to really help uptick your visibility. Highlight your primary holiday products and services that you're really trying to focus on your pages. So for example, if I am a home cleaning service, I am amplifying in my local landing pages that, hey, you got to get your house clean for the holidays. Here are all of the things that I can do. I specialize in cleaning up your dining room and your kitchen for you to cook that massive turkey. Really just kind of building out your content strategy, because you never know who's going to type into ChatGPT, help, I'm hosting 30 people at my house and my kitchen's a wreck and I have to make a turkey. Who specializes in kitchen cleaning? And suddenly you pop up. And all of this can be done too in like FAQs on your page, even highlighting holiday events or services. I think did we have a Q&A or did somebody ask it directly? Okay, maybe we're good.
We answered it.
Okay, awesome. You guys are killing it. And then some other quick hits, things to consider. So holiday interior photos and experience. You can never have too many photos on your Google business profile. Seriously, you can never have too many photos on your Google business profile. Get somebody in that store, get your store manager, whoever, take some photos. If you guys are decorating the place up for the holidays, get it on your business listing. It's not going to hurt you. If anything, it's going to help. Do not forget about your holiday hours updates. Very, very important to add those and prepare to have those scheduled out to your listings. So definitely keep that in mind. Seasonally relevant additional categories. This is one of my favorite topics, actually. So there are some businesses that have a wide range of things that they offer. So this isn't necessarily going to be applicable to everyone, but I can think of a couple. So Joanne Fabrics is no longer with us. They are now Michaels. So this is the strategies that Michaels could deploy. But they used to deploy like Christmas tree store optimizations to their additional category during this time of year because they wanted to show up for people looking for Christmas trees. Now that is only applicable this time of year. So it is an optimization that they kept in mind. As well as stores like Dick's Sporting Goods or Walmart or Target. There's only, I think, 9 or 10 additional categories that you can choose from. So you might want to cycle in things that have to do with winter coats or winter apparel, or really making sure that if there are certain subjects available to you in those additional categories, that you're maximizing them in this time of year. This one was kind of a joke. Respond to your reviews. That's not a quick win. That's obviously a pretty hefty strategy for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. Shameless plug for SOCi. If you have the right kind of technology to do it at scale using like AI agents, you could literally start responding to reviews as early as tomorrow. So just putting that out there. Align with your social media teams. I think Kelly and I and Mike and I have talked a ton about the alignment that's necessary with social media teams. So keep a quick pulse on that. I love this one. We talk about it a good bit. Try to put QR codes in your locations. You could prompt more reviews. Link back to your business listings. Encourage customers to leave reviews on your listings. This time of year, it could make all the difference for you to appear in search. And was that my last one? I think that was my last one. I just talked so fast because we have a lot of content. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly. Thank you all.
I don't think you talked fast, but I also am the fastest talker ever. So I feel like I am used to it, but I will try to also go slow. So as we head into the holiday season here, social media becomes one of the most powerful channels for building brand awareness and driving engagement. So people are spending more time online, shopping, sharing. So this is a really critical window to capture attention. Holiday campaigns aren't just about promotions, but they're also about storytelling. So this is your opportunity to connect emotionally with your audience and stand out in a crowded feed. You want to make sure you're leveraging the platforms where your audience is most active, and that's typically Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. They really dominate during this time, especially. And each one of those networks offers unique creative opportunities. So you can use reels, stories, interactive posts. So there's a lot of opportunity for creativity during this time. And as you plan your campaigns, you want to focus on 2 things, compelling content and active community management. The content needs to feel authentic and you want to align with your brand voice. So you can think through like behind the scenes moments, staff spotlights, holiday traditions that humanize your brand. Maybe that's asking staff members what their favorite tradition is or things like that. But finally, remember to be responsive. So timely, genuine interactions, even just replying to comments when they're not asking you a question, just engaging with them. That can really go a long way and help with loyalty. And it can also help encourage conversions. Okay, so now let's break down how to execute a strong holiday strategy using these 4 pillars here. So plan, align, promote, and measure. So first, you want to plan. This is where you build your content calendar, establish clear goals, think about key dates, campaign milestones, and how your messaging will evolve throughout the season. Preparation helps ensure your team can stay creative and ahead of the game instead of reactive. Also, something to keep in mind is if you don't have holiday posts, maybe avoid posting things that aren't holiday related on certain days like Black Friday or Cyber Monday, because you're not going to get a lot of reach whenever you're up against all these other posts. So just keep in mind, being smart about scheduling on certain days. So you want to next align. So you want to make sure everyone from marketing, customer service, however many, teams and departments you have, you want to make sure that they understand your brand's holiday messaging. So you want to refresh your brand assets, train a team on social tone and engagement, make sure everyone's aligned. So if you do have multiple people doing community management for your one location, you want to make sure you're all aligned on what your holiday voice is going to be. We keep saying, you want to make sure your social SEO and SEO teams are aligned. If you're posting something on Google, it should somewhat relate back to what's being posted on social. You want to make sure all of your assets are very consistent and they all are telling the same story. And then promote. So if you are a brand that uses paid media, you want to define your target audience and your budget. And if it makes sense for your brand and you're not doing it right now, maybe consider running paid media campaigns to amplify your reach. Even small budgets can make a really big difference when you're pairing that with strong organic content. And lastly, you want to measure and track your KPIs throughout the whole season. So engagement, reach, conversions, whatever your success metrics look like that you're establishing during the planning phase, you should keep an eye and keep a pulse on those to make sure that you're striving and reaching towards your goals. This will help you pivot quickly and identify what's working best. And then here's some data to keep in mind. According to Digital Marketing Institute, 69% of consumers trust influencer recommendations, and Simon Kucher says that 64% of holiday shoppers discover products on social media. So this means influencer partnerships in authentic storytelling are more powerful than ever, and they're key to reaching and converting audiences in this busy time. So influencers are something to also keep in mind, even if it's a micro influencer, even if it is a customer advocacy program, your staff members potentially posting about your business. As long as you're doing it in a ethical way, it's a really great way to get extra reach and extra views and potentially some more conversions. Oh, you're muted, Mike.
Sorry, I had garbage trucks going by. Thank you both. That was great. So hopefully everyone who, like me, didn't realize the holidays are already upon us. Someone just in my family asked me for a Christmas list, and I'm like, what? Really? It's not even Halloween. So I wanted to add this. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. But Google just updated their guidelines on representing your business on Google around links. So I wanted to talk about this for a minute because there was some really interesting information about business links and about the eligibility and about how Google checks to make sure links are accurate and the type of links they actually want. So a little bit about, and everything I'm going to read here is in Google's own words. So this actually came from Google's own site about eligibility and links. So Google says that business links allow customers to do things like book appointments with your business or place online orders. It even extends to things like your website, any, let's say, contact links, messaging, any links that Google allows you to put on there. Not all businesses are eligible for business links. For example, hair salons can allow customers to book appointments, but are not eligible for online ordering. Or in the case of Big O Tires, they can do both. They have a a book online link and a products and services link. You'll be able to tell basically when you go into your profile what links you have available to you. If you're using SOCi, which hopefully you are, they're all together in one spot within the categories and attributes tab. Some really interesting things that Google highlighted. To ensure business information on Google is accurate and trustworthy, we verify the links you provide on your business profile. Our automated crawlers will visit these links daily at most to confirm that they lead to valid and relevant web pages, which is really interesting. I had no idea Google was putting that much attention to those links. And basically, Google says if a link cannot be accessed by our crawlers, we can't verify it, which may lead to removal of that link. So I have some of their policy that they say that explains the system for their verification. So all business links used by your Google business profile must meet the following criteria. So first of all, they have to provide unrestricted access. Links must be accessible to their automated crawlers without restriction. This means that they can't block bot traffic identified by user agent Google business link verification. I don't know what that means, but Google says it. Implement rate limiting or throttling that prevents crawlers from accessing content, requiring CAPTCHAs and logins and other things. Implementing IP address blocking to prevent crawlers from accessing the data, and using content cloaking to serve different content to crawlers versus humans. All of these things Google sees as unrestricted, as not having unrestricted access, and may block that link from being added to your profile. Functional links. So links must resolve to a working page. So make sure that you're sending links to a 200 OK status page, links that come back as 404, forbidden, service errors, things like that. Obviously, Google will reject. So it's also good to pay attention to any forwarding, any redirects that you have on there. Let's say you update pages, you put redirects on, make sure those things don't expire, and then start sending people to 404 pages and the like. Complete loading. Their crawlers must be able to fully load the page. So I would say don't add intrusive interstitials. That is one surefire way to stop crawlers from hitting the page. And no geo-blocking. Pages must not be blocked by a DNS provider or any geo-based mechanism. One really interesting that Google added is to enforce this policy, Google ignores robot rules when they do this, which is fascinating. I assume robot TXT rules were hard and fast. Apparently, when it comes to indexing in Google and double checking links, it is not. So just something very interesting there. Some of the things Google said is local business links must allow customers to complete a designated action. So for example, an order link must allow the customer to complete an order. Local business links cannot be social media sites unless you're linking to your social media site, obviously. Messaging links unless you're linking to your messaging, your WhatsApp or your XMS text message that Google has now. App Store links are not allowed, and link shorteners are not allowed. One thing I find all the time, and again, I feel like your links should lead to where the customer expects. I've seen a lot of people adding like links from their menu to go to their order page instead of a menu, which is really frustrating, not for someone just looking to see what your menu is, but Google doesn't like that either. One thing I found fascinating is Google has said now directly that they want local pages. Local business links must lead to a dedicated landing page for your business. For businesses with multiple locations, action links must lead to a website for a specific location. Avoid general landing pages or landing page for another location of the same business address. So don't link to your brand page. Don't link to your locator. You should be linking to a local page. I know there are a lot of customers and industries that wonder why they need to have one, probably things like gas, maybe a car wash, maybe, a convenience store. Customers may not need that, but Google does, and Google wants that. It's where they're getting information. It is your absolute best structured data source. And honestly, this piece right here is why I wanted to cover this more than anything else. Obviously, it's a ranking factor, but when Google's specifically saying we want this link to your local page. Just lastly, invalid business links. Google doesn't like things that have extra spaces or symbols, backslashes, invalid protocols, duplicate HTTP, things like that. So if a link gets rejected, one of the first things you should do is just make sure you're providing a right link, a link that follows proper protocols. So just to summarize this, your links matter. Links inform both customers and Google about your business. So take advantage, number one, of all available links. Google constantly asks us about customers and using links that they have and CTAs. They want to see businesses taking advantage of these things. use the links for their intended purposes. So in other words, don't add your order URL to your menu link, like I mentioned. Have local landing pages linked to your profile. Make sure pages are well structured and easy to crawl and index, because that's what Google needs to make sure that those links are valid. Don't use intrusive interstitials, and don't forget about old redirects expiring and having, 404 pages or other pages that just don't exist. So we did get through that with a little bit of time for two more small items. One is some checkbox optimizations. We have a few new attributes if you want to take this one, Casey.
I can. So new-ish GBP attributes for spas, hot tub, membership, online scheduling, restaurant, and good for kids, which is interesting to me as an option, but I'm here for it. Car wash, hand car wash, and undercarriage cleaning. We are talking about car washes.
And I did leave, and this wasn't a mistake. These are older ones that don't match, but just a few months ago, Google added new attributes for just these same two ones. We actually talked about these a couple months ago, and they highlighted these, so they added additional ones, which is really nice. So,
Yep, take advantage of them.
exactly. As categories, we don't have any new ones, but we may have some really interesting news about categories next month. So please come back, because it's, for me, and I think for Casey, is very exciting news. So once we validate some of this, we will share it next month, hopefully.
Stay tuned.
And then lastly, and we'll let you go, something just I spied in the wild, which I thought was really interesting, which is Google is doing a lot of things, obviously, to promote AI mode. It makes a lot of sense because Perplexity and others are doing, and ChatGPT are doing a lot of things to make moves in the industry. But I noticed the other day when doing a search for just tacos near me as part of just some research I was doing, I noticed Google promoting AI mode in local SERP results on mobile. Had nothing to do with my search, things like plans for a scavenger hunt or types of coffee makers available. But it is interesting that Google is trying to socialize the idea that you can ask AI mode lots of different questions, and they're not just putting it as something at the top, something in the search bar. They're actively promoting it through different features on the SERP. I thought that was fascinating. And
yeah, that is it from us this month. We will see you next month. I think the slide after this is about Reimagine. So I know Kelly mentioned it in the comments. If you are not joining us, please join us. All three of us will be there. We are so excited to meet with all of you. And yeah, we really look forward to it. So if we don't see you there, we will see you next month.
bye. Thank you all.
Bye.